These are the Dark Hedges, a stunning avenue of beech trees planted in the 18th century, and this is the Aqua-forest of the ancients. In this video, I'll walk you through how I put together this masterpiece, and maybe take a look at how it's doing about 3 months later. Welcome to the microverse. These are all the materials I'll be using in this build. For substrate, we have a seasoned aquarium gravel, very seasoned, and leca, or lightweight expanded clay aggregate, which I will be placing in these mesh bags. For hardscape, we have some rounded river rocks to create a sharp embankment for the path. This reddish one came all the way from Machu Picchu in order to reside in this scape. These rocks will serve as our boulders that can often be seen on hiking trails, being hugged and surrounded by trees. We also have some wood of the spider, which I find has the best scale to create these trees in small aquariums or terrariums. A frosted film for the background, and a teeny tiny hang-on back filter. The light we'll be using is the Ciora LED aquarium plant light, which they were kind enough to send me for free to try it out. I start by installing the frosted background. I spray the surface on which it is going and attempt to peel the clear film off of the sticky side. I place the frost, sticky side first, on the surface before removing excess water with this "Don't forget to scan your PC Optimum" card. Sorry about that, living in Canada is starting to get to me. The idea of the scape is to create a forest path with trees on either side. I start by placing the leca mesh bags on both sides of the intended path to give us some height. I then add some gravel to stabilize the bags and prevent them from shifting while we get the hardscape situated. Since I would like to give the illusion of trees hugging the path, I place the foreground tree on this river rock. This will help with making the path as low as possible. The second tree required some minimal modification in order to fit. Even though it was modified, some hardscape wiggling was required. I placed the river rocks in such a way that it looks like the tree roots are growing over the boulders, if you will. After both trees were situated, I add a smaller rock behind the forwardmost boulder. This is to give a sense of scale. I then brush the gravel from the front of the path area. Side note, if you attempt to create something like this, it might be a good idea to super glue the wood to the rocks so it doesn't shift and move, as you will see throughout this build. Please learn from my mistakes. After adding the reddish stone of Machu Picchu, I add more gravel to the back, creating a slope. I also added this even smaller boulder to the very end of the path. The smaller size of the rock will help give the illusion of depth and will double as a substrate barrier. I continue to strategically add substrate as well as this textured rock towards the front. I wiggle and modify some of these smaller spiderwood branches before adding them to the foreground. I wanted these to emphasize the exposed tree root. I then add the top layer of gravel. This Midnight River gravel by Supernatural Aquascapes is really nice in giving a sense of scale to builds like this. I slope the gravel towards the back yet again, and sides, making sure to leave the front area of the path gravelless, because we will be adding sand. The cosmetic white sand will also help reflect some light, highlighting the path. Sand was placed all over to give a sense of continuity through the build. Nature tends to sprinkle sand everywhere, and so do I. Some more spiderwood detailing was added before filling up the tank. I start planting with a couple of stems, Rotala rotundifolia to be specific, before adding the first of the epiphytes. Smaller compact epiphytes like Anubias nana petite and Bucephalandra are amazing for giving the illusion of ferns and bushes that grow around the paths of these hiking trails. I used dwarf sage as a mid-ground plant. I might replace the dwarf sage with dwarf hairgrass in the future, just to give the illusion of, well, grass, I guess. Finally, I add pearl moss for an added texture and a bushy variety. I reiterate, if you attempt a scape like this, please superglue the driftwood to your rocks if you don't want one wrong move to bring your creations crashing down. With aquariums, lighting is of the utmost importance, and is one of the main factors in the success of a planted tank. The light I'm using for this build is the Siora LED Aquarium Plant Light. I'm setting it on an 8-hour on cycle, at about 25 to 50% to start. It also automatically ramps up the light to the set intensity, giving us a sunrise and sunset effect, which really helps in not spooking the fish and shrimp as we transition from day to night, and vice versa. If you'd like to pick one up, I'll put an affiliate link in the description below. The next day, water was extremely cloudy, so I did a water change. As the aquarium settled and the water balanced, biofilm started to develop on the spiderwood. I brushed off what I could and did another water change before adding the first of the fauna, the snails of Ramshor. And after many moons, the shrimp of red cherry have returned. Those of the red cherry and those of the ram's horn will make quick work of the biofilm developing in harder to reach areas. Some weeks later, I started thinking about fish, something maybe I've never had before. These are Galaxy Razoboras, or Celestial Pearl Danios. I like Celestial Pearl Danios, as it is whimsically superior to Galaxy Razobora. There are 3 females and 2 males. Carl and Mikey. You can tell them apart because Carl is a bit more timid and doesn't talk much. 90 days later, everything has grown nicely. Maybe a bit too nicely, thanks to the light. So let's give it a bit of TLC. I don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a guy that can't get no love from... No. Some tender, loving care. I start with the floating plants that I added to manage the algae growth. I recently made trade with a certain cult of the plant, so I did some redecorating. I removed the Java ferns that I forgot to mention I had added in the first place, and in place I am adding more epiphytes, including this really nice Anubias Nana Jade, and a couple more Anubias Nana Pintos, as well as some of this awesome blue Bucephalandra. I also replaced the duckweed infestation with some red root floaters. These should aid greatly in the vibe of ancient forest that I'm sort of going for. If you enjoyed this build and want more aquariums, here you go. If terrariums are more of your thing, here's a playlist. And if you haven't yet, click this button here. Yeah, that one there.